And now it is my distinct pleasure to invite Dr. Stefano Bertuzzi, who is already here, ASM CEO, to give you some highlights of some of the initiatives that ASM is currently working on. Stefano?
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all enjoying this wonderful meeting that ASM has organized to promote and advance microbial sciences. It is really my very distinguished pleasure to be able to give you a quick update of what we have been doing at ASM in the past year. What you see in this picture is the cathedral of the city of Milan, which in the 1200 was the symbol of a beautiful style, which was the Gothic art that spread throughout Europe. But if we fast forward to the 1400 and we move a little further south in Florence, we found ourselves at the epicenter of the Renaissance. And the Renaissance had completely different codes for style, for engineering, and the potential of architecture and building was completely different than in the previous era. As you can see, the cathedral in Florence looks very different than the cathedral in Milan. And there was such a confidence at that time in the city of Florence, which, by the way, was one of the largest cities in Europe at that time, that they built a cathedral so innovative, so massive, that they still had no technology to be able to cover the cathedral with a dome that they wanted completely different. For 50 years, the cathedral stayed open without a dome because they did not have the technology to be able to cover that. And there was not enough timber in the whole Tuscany to build a scaffold to be able to support that massive structure. So they had to think about innovation, how this can be done. And the genius of Filippo Brunelleschi found a dome, found a way of building a dome that could be done self-supporting without any scaffolding. This is the power of innovation. This is the power of technology. This is the power of believing in the future. Even if you don't know how to close that beautiful church, but you can still think that it's possible. And that's what happened in the Renaissance. And you can see here that the dome took quite a while before it was finished. So what does this have to do with us? If we fast forward to today, you as microbiology, you find yourself at the epicenter of a new renaissance. And this is the renaissance of the discipline of microbial sciences, a field which is very large and which is growing rapidly, with areas like microbiome that are growing at mind-boggling speed. New technology, mostly metagenomic, have completely revolutionized the way microbe can be studied. And the area of synthetic biology, for example, very recently showed us that you can have swallowable devices, sensors, that connected with microbe can detect chemical in the gut. And connected to a sensor, can they Bluetooth to your phone and get an app and diagnosing whether there is some chemical indicative of a disease. New question can be asked. And whether they're questions in the area of cancer or question in the area of connections between our gut and our brain, giving a new sense to gut feeling. And it's really areas where our field is growing and transforming completely the way we can think about the future. And as you can see, this is not happening under vacuum. This is only possible because we are integrating different disciplines, whether that's chemistry, engineering, computational biology. And here the microbe meeting is a prime example of how many speakers are coming from different areas of science and promoting microbial sciences because of the integration that it's happening. It's not only in the academic environment that things are changing. The industry of diagnostic is being completely revolutionized, and it is now possible to detect and diagnose an infection, whether it's viral or bacterial or not an infective agent, by looking through high throughput sequencing to look at the immune response of the host. And also, we have to remember that in all this, microbiologists are at the epicenter of daunting problems for humanity, and that the world needs you to solve really complex issues. And ASM, in all this, has a very big role to play. ASM is here with its mission to promote and advance microbial sciences. As I always say, the mission of ASM is not to promote ASM. The mission of ASM is to promote the field. And we all need to be doing that together. That's why our past president, Lynn Enquist, and the strategic planning group, the Futures Group, have talked about the ASM Big Tent, which is exemplified by this meeting, by bringing together many different constituencies, many different people, many different approaches, because that is what is needed. And this shows us the power of engaging communities. This is what associations like ASM do best, leveraging the power of many people and of communities, first and foremost of our members, but also all the stakeholders that have an interest in the future of microbial sciences, and especially the public. As it was just mentioned by Dr. Sharp, we have a big responsibility toward the public. In collaboration with Research America, we have tasked Zogby Analytics of a poll taken just a month ago to look at the perception of vaccine of the general public. And while in general, Americans are very supportive of science and believe in the future of science and what we are doing, we have detected a significant decrease in the confidence of certain aspects. Like, for example, the safety of vaccine decreased by 10% from 2008 to 2018, or the confidence that there is an adequate supply of vaccines. These are troublesome aspects, and that's why ASM is very, as you just heard before, is very focused on public engagement. We need to engage the public. We cannot just work in ivory tower with only scientists and thinking that we can deliver the truth. It's important that we engage. It's important that we advocate for the important issue for evidence-based science to inform policy. And it's very, very important that we realize that we work for the public. If you think about it, most of you are probably working out of taxpayer funds. You're employed by the citizen. You're employed by the citizen of your country. And even if you work off private funds, the outcomes of your research is very valuable because it will benefit the public. So when someone asks, what do you do? The best answer that you can possibly give is, I work for you, because that is our mission as a scientist, to really promote and advance microbial sciences that can benefit people and the public. And we need to deliver this message. How is ASM trying to do that? Well, first of all, by leveraging its own resources. ASM has established the Council on Microbial Sciences, which is that group that brings together all the different representation of the society, the branches, the divisions, the various committees, members at large, to make sure that we hear from all the different areas, national and internationally, what are the needs of our community? What are they hearing? What's important? This is the connector between the ASM leadership and all the scientists out there who do microbial sciences. ASM also is fortunate to be able to count on the American Academy of Microbiology and thought leaders who can provide those ideas and visionary to anticipate what the problem of the future are going to be. And also, we are extremely fortunate to be able to count on the work that hundreds of volunteers are doing for ASM and for the field of microbial sciences in our committees and in many other events. But our role, even a large society like ASM, cannot do it alone. ASM really believes that partnerships are very important, and we need to leverage partnership with other societies, with other groups. And I'm very pleased to let you know that this year we have tried to focus on working together with the American Society for Virology, For those who've been around ASM probably know that there's a little bit of history here. And we're very, very happy that this year we worked with ASV and sharing the Forum for Virology, the Journal of Virology, which is now an affiliated journal also of ASV. We have developed a partnership in advocacy with ASV. Virology is really fundamental for the issues that are dealing on biosafety, biothreats, biosecurity. And so we're working very closely with ASV on those issues now, and also, as you just heard, the partnership that allowed us to work with the Smithsonian Institution with this wonderful exhibit of Outbreak to commemorate the 1918 pandemic flu, which will be open at the Smithsonian for 3 years, and a lot of outreach event will be hosted at the museum by ASM in collaboration with ASV and others. You also heard before that we have been working very closely with Research America to make sure that our advocacy efforts are delivered in the most effective way. You heard the success of this year, and they're going to be busts in the future. You can't always win, especially in advocacy. But just to give you an example, the Raise the Cap campaigns that Dr. Sharp mentioned was able, by raising the caps, of specifically allowing a line item budget in the CDC budget to put in the new biocontainment lab, which was not included in the budget before. Very specific advocacy that got a very specific result. And I can tell you how pleased the CDC was with ASM and all other efforts that were put into this efforts. Also, we need to make sure that we loop our commercial partners, industry, into ASM in the appropriate way. And ASM this year launched the Corporate Council. The Corporate Council brings together industry, academia, government, and university, and all different nonprofit and different groups to be able to look at those issues that cannot be advanced just by one of these groups, that become much more effective when we work together. And this has been a very successful launch of the Corporate Council. Also, ASM is looking to partner with other publishers to transform the delivery of our books, especially our manuals, to make sure that we can use top-notch technology to be able to deliver frequent updates as the situation always changes, especially in the diagnostic area. Very important that our tremendous asset and value that we have in our manual, think about the manual for clinical microbiology, for example, and being able to provide frequent updates will be fundamental. So what can you do? Just like at the time when we moved through architecture and we moved from the Gothic era to the Renaissance era, things evolve. And things are evolving in microbiology. Things are evolving in the world around us. Things are evolving in the microbial sciences. Things are evolving in the world of associations, which is very often a challenging environment. So what you really can do is that of engaging. You can engage with us, first of all, by becoming an ASM member if you're not yet. We want you to engage by publishing in ASM journals and ASM books, because by doing so, not only you publish in very qualified and top-notch and respected journals in the field, but also you help support all those programs that you saw in the video at the beginning. We have to this meeting over 300 travel awards that allowed students and underrepresented minorities to be able to attend. That's what happens when you publish in ASM journals, and all the other education and different programs that were mentioned. And finally, what you really can help us doing, being a strong advocate for the microbial sciences. Talk to people, engage, tell them that you work for them, and tell them what microbiology can do for them. Be a great ambassador. We need you. Thank you for your support, and most of all, thank you for being here.